As we can see, the story of Abraham's life follows the basic order of events as they occurred in his life. The stories begin with him relatively young and under the authority of his father, and they end up with Abraham growing old and dying. On occasion, there are allusions and implicit connections among the various episodes of Abraham's life, but by comparison with other portions of the Old Testament, Abraham's life story consists of a series of 17 relatively independent episodes. Each of these episodes was designed to report events in Abraham's life and to teach specific lessons to Moses' original Israelite audience. As Moses led them from Egypt toward the Promised Land, each of these episodes was to have much to offer them as they lived their lives, just as it has much to offer us as we live our lives today. Having introduced the basic episodes of Abraham's life, we are now in a position to explore how these units hold together. How is the story of Abraham unified? What logic organizes them? Simply put, the episodes of Abraham's life cluster around specific themes, and these clusters form 5 symmetrical or balancing steps. First, as we might expect at the beginning of the patriarch's life, Moses' record begins with Abraham's background and early experiences with God. This section includes Abraham's favored lineage, his failing father, and his migration to Canaan. These chapters explain how Abraham entered into his special relationship with God by focusing on his family's background and his initial migration to the Promised Land. The second cluster of episodes in Abraham's life concentrates on Abraham's earlier contacts with other peoples in chapter 12, verse 10 through chapter 14, verse 24. It includes his deliverance from Egypt, his conflict with Lot, and his rescue of Lot. These 3 episodes hold together because they concentrate primarily on Abraham's encounters and interactions with representatives of several groups of people. In these chapters, the patriarch dealt primarily with the Pharaoh of Egypt, his nephew Lot, invading kings, the king of Sodom, and Melchizedek, the king of Salem. The third and central section of Abraham's life focuses on Abraham's covenant relationship with God in chapter 15, verse 1 through chapter 17, verse 27. This portion of the patriarch's life consists of 3 episodes: Abraham's covenant promises, Abraham's failure with Hagar, and Abraham's covenant requirements. The fourth section, which appears in chapter 18, verse 1 through chapter 21, verse 34, turns to Abraham's later contacts with other peoples. These chapters hold together primarily because they concentrate on Abraham's interactions with other groups of people. These chapters describe Abraham in relation to Sodom and Gomorrah. We find Abraham's intercession for Abimelech, Abraham in relationship with Isaac and Ishmael, and Abraham's treaty with Abimelech. These 4 episodes further illustrate how the patriarch interacted with Lot and his family, as well as how he related to the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and to the Philistine Abimelech. As we might expect, the 5th and final section of the patriarch's life in chapter 22, verse 1 through chapter 25, verse 18, deals with matters toward the end of Abraham's life, especially with his progeny and death. It records how God tested Abraham. It records Abraham's purchase of burial property. It records how Abraham found a wife for his son Isaac, and it also records Abraham's death. These chapters focus on Abraham's wife Sarah and her son Isaac, the true heir of Abraham, giving them honor over Abraham's other wives and their sons. Because the episodes of Abraham's life are relatively independent of each other, when people first read about Abraham, they often have a sense of wandering aimlessly from one event to another. They read the stories of Abraham as if Moses mentioned this event and that event with little forethought or planning. But despite this first impression, the stories of Abraham's life are actually organized into batches or groups of episodes that share central themes. Our simple 5-step outline reveals that Moses actually planned what he was going to say about Abraham. On a large scale, the record of Abraham's life takes the shape of a symmetrical drama. Each part balances with a corresponding part in the drama.